Welcome back to One Piece Anime Review. This is special number 5, part 2, and this reviewing the last two films I hadn't watched yet, which now I officially watched them. And the films I'll talk about are The Desert Princess and the Pirates, Adventures in Alabasta, and Episode Chopper, plus Bloom in the Winter, Miracle, Cherry Blossom. Now, the first one is just an abridged retelling of the Alabasta arc, which in the anime took up 38 episodes. Here it was retold in 90 minutes. For the most part, the story is mostly intact, but there is noteworthy changes. Like, for instance, Smoker and Tachi basically are nowhere in Marines do not make a physical appearance in this. Their ship is seen at the end, but they play no part in the story like they do in the original one. That's one change. Two, there's no casino scene. Yeah, they actually took that out for some reason. Sanji does not become Mr. Prince. Luffy only fights Crocodile twice instead of 3 times. They took out a second fight atop the palace. 5, they kind of basically changed where the leader of the rebellion basically ended up, because this one he managed to get to the palace somehow, and because they couldn't have, because the Marines were in here, they had the guy who Petra, I think his name is, the one who ate the over with the allows him a falcon that allows him to fly. Yeah, he ends up basically taking Luffy to that temple. Basically, Luffy's fight with Crocodile is not much different. It's pretty much the same exact fight he has in the manga, and the anime. There's one small difference. He does move Nico Robin, which I don't remember if he actually did that in the original story. This one he actually moves Nico Robin, saves her from falling debris, and of course they do show later on that basically Luffy does save her from basically the collapsing temple along with King Cobra. So mostly, a lot of that stuff is mostly intact. The Straw Hats fights with the Brock War agents, like Zoro versus Mr. One. Not pretty much everybody's fight pretty much is the same. There is a small little addition with Nami's, like right in the aftermath. They don't show this either in the manga or anime, where they actually show Nami picking up the unconscious. I think this is supposed to be Miss Tuesday, I think it is. Blue hair woman. One who looks like a skimpy attire. Yeah, like right after Nami, pretty much Nami's battle with her is exactly the same as is in the manga, and it's no change. They do make an addition to this one, where they actually show her like after this woman's defeated. Basically where she's defeated is different from the manga in the anime. This one she basically is not thrown through a building. This one she's thrown like atop of will look like a bridge, and then she's knocked back down. But pretty much she's unconscious. Either she's unconscious or dead. It's not really determined. And then she's shown actually taking a part of the her climb baton basically was wrapped around. It actually does show her removing the thing. In the case of Usopp and Chopper's fight versus I think it's Mr. Friday and Mrs. Christmas, there is barely any change. It pretty much plays out the same exact way. There's no change there. Zoro's fight Mr. One is exactly the same. There's no change with that one. Not that I could think of, no. Luffy's first fight with now when Luffy fights Vivi, there's actually a little bit of a moment they actually cut this one. When they say he quits, he basically is leaning against a tree when he says this. And here he just stands. This happens like right after they leave the Oasis town. Yeah. But a lot of it does stay pretty much the same. Nico Robin is pretty much the same way she was. They do make one addition for her, and they do show her actually going to the Straw Hats ship, the Going Merry. Bon Clay, for some reason, they don't show his fight with Sanji in this one. Yeah, I don't know why they skipped over it. Either I must have missed it or something, but yeah, they don't show his... Actually, scratch it. They do show his fight with Bon Clay. Oh, and Bon Clay, there's actually something different from what they did with him this one, where he does the whole shape-shifting thing, where he just touches his cheek and changes his face. Yeah, when he changes the Nami on the ship, he actually sort of takes off his clothes to show a fully frontal nudity, well, his own version of Nami. And then, of course, Nami beats up basically Bon Clay, Luffy, Sanji, and Chopper. Yeah, in the anime, he just simply just opens up his shirt, basically when he's Nami. Here, he basically looks like he just takes up almost all of the clothes for some strange reason. And also, when they first meet Bon Clay, they do make a small little change where in the anime, in the manga, Bon Clay never met Sanji. Here he actually met him and says, "Don't touch me." Like, fine. Perfectly fine. Let's see, what else? I remember basically when they first meet him, basically his ship shows up, he just jumps on, it's like, "Hey, I'm like whatever." And of course he gets away. That's really much it for that one. But the one change I did not like in here, some of the changes they did make in here, like some of the additions I thought they were really ingenious. The one change I thought was really kind of dumb, and I actually watched the dub version of this one, because, and this is actually one of 4 films dubbed. This one along with Strong Road, Z, and Gold, they're all dubbed. This is actually the first one I can think of actually dubbed. And this one was only released 10 years ago. It holds up really well. Now, Alabasta, the capital of Alabasta, excuse me, whenever they show aero shots of it, basically, it's shown in CGI, which it looks great. I guess that's the biggest improvement they made from the original story. The one change I did not like, though, is they changed for some reason, they changed the dub actor for Saul, the Marine Admiral Giant, who basically Robin knew in the flashback. Now, this flashback was not shown in the original story. This part of flashback was actually shown in Admiral's lobby when they were showing Nico Robin's backstory. My guess is the reason why they said included because, well, why not? I would kind of think elements of this thing, probably some of the additions they made. Oh, there's one other thing. They do show Petra basically after he takes the whole bomb thing goes in the sky. Yeah, it does show he does survive. There's not that funny scene where he basically walks up to his own grave. He actually reacts with Vivi, no problem. Yeah, they do make that change, but I kind of wish they would kind of put some of these additions in the original story when they adapt it. It would kind of make some sense. You don't have to throw in like the flashback for Saul. You don't have to throw that there. Just show that. Oh yeah, and they don't show Robin meeting up with the crew afterwards. Oh, there is one other change. Vivi, for some reason, is allowed to hold on to Luffy's hat. Unlike in the original story, his hat fell off and when he was fighting Crocodile on top of the palace. Yeah, they do make that change. But, yeah. But it plays out pretty much the same way the original story. With a lot of changes and a lot of stuff cut. But still a good movie nonetheless, and I get the film a 9 out of 10. It's actually good. Though I kind of wish they would not have done a bridge version of this story. Though I do think some of the additions could have been thrown into the actual anime, but who knows. Oh, Igura. He actually is the one character who I actually thought would be here. Yeah, Igura is nowhere to be seen. His wife shows up a few times. Yeah, his wife does. As Igura himself, nope, he is completely absent from the story. I don't really know why. Oh yeah, they cut him. They cut the Hawk special guard, which Crocodile heard of. They were seen like one episode. I think like one chapter as well. Yeah, they're cut as well. So they cut a few characters, but pretty much almost all the characters who were in the original arc are pretty much there. Oh yeah, and when and they do change for some reason. They change the Baroque works like Grand Meeting. They change, and Mr. 3 is not in the story either for some reason. Yeah, he's not in the story. They change it where in the original story they met in the casino back room. Here they met in the desert for some reason. They met just outside Alabasta for some reason. I don't know why this change was happening, but I guess after they cut that out. Yeah. Also, they don't show Vivi's backstory with the leader of the rebellion, which she calls leader, and there's mention of the Sansan clan. Now, if you just watch this film and did not watch the Alabasta arc, you'll be like, Sansan clan, what the heck is that? Yeah, you have to watch the original story to understand what the heck that is. But some of the changes were okay. But I kind of wish that some of the stuff they did for this film was actually put into the actual anime itself. I would not put in there the whole thing of Luffy. I would not cut up the second fight between Luffy and Crocodile. But some of the additions they made to this story, I would have thrown those in as well. But who knows? All right. Excuse me, that's my opinion of it. Next one is Episode Chopper Plus Bloom in the Winter Miracle Cherry Blossom. This one does have. Now, this one is essentially not an abridged retelling of the Drum Kingdom arc, which in the anime took up 13 episodes and the manga 25 chapters. Yeah, and this is retold in just almost 2 hours. Basically an hour and 53-minute movie. It's really long. It's actually tied for the second longest film of the entire film series. It's tied with Z, which is pretty much the same length as this one. This one, they throw in a few characters who actually are canon stuff that they throw in this remake, where they have it where they have Frankie and Robin, who actually were not in the original story, along with 1000 Sunny. Also, first film to feature 1000 Sunny. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention for the previous film, last time the Going Merry makes a physical appearance in the movies, because starting with episode Chopper up until Gold, it's 1000 Sunny. Though for this particular film, as far as I can tell, it's the first film appearance of Frankie as well. Not the first film appearance of Robin. Robin's first film appearance was actually in Dead End Adventure. So this is actually her 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is actually her 6th film she actually has been in. Out of the 13 films released so far, there's only been 4 characters who appear in all 13 films, and that's Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and Usopp. That is it. Well, there's a reason for that, because Sanji, you probably think maybe Sanji appeared in all those films as well. No, Sanji actually missed the first film because reasons. I don't really know why. Yeah. What changes they make for this reboot? They made a bunch of them. Probably a lot more than they did for the Alabasta one. Like, they threw in these machines, which actually were not in the original story. They threw those in, aside from throwing in Frankie and Robin and, of course, 1000 Sunny. There's no mention of Little Garden in this one, surprisingly. And yet Nami got stung by some beetle, some bug. Yeah. I have heard this is a what-if story, but a good one. Yes, a good one. Let's see, what other changes they make. Oh, yeah, apparently Wapol, the former king of Drum Kingdom, apparently he has an older brother. Okay, so they made that change. What else? Chopper's backstory, from what I can tell, is pretty much the same as it was in when it was originally told during the Drum Kingdom arc. The only slight change they made is that the guy who basically was sort of a father figure to him actually made his hat that he wore throughout the entirety when he was seen in part 1 before he switched to his new hat in part 2. So with this one, they kind of confirmed that he's the one who made it. Dalton, from what I can tell, character-wise, is pretty much the same as he was in the original story. The only difference is they don't show off his Devil powers, and he does not fight Wapol at all this entire story. Yeah. Also, they have Zoro basically working alongside Frankie, which is something he did not do, and Robin pretty much filled in what Vivi did in the original story. One thing Vivi did that was noteworthy was the fact that when Usopp was frozen, Vivi slapped him like crazy. So, Robin pretty much did the same thing with her Devil power, slapped him like crazy, and he got swollen. So yeah. What else? Now there's one thing that they keep from here is that Luffy fights Wapol, but the first time he fights him is actually a different place that he did in the original story. And here he fights him in a tower first. Same thing with Chopper. Basically, even when he goes to his normal form, they actually change the location of that, where he goes in the tower. And also, there's like many other big changes. Like, I can list off. There's a bunch of them. like the doors to his palace were actually closed. In the original story, they were open and pretty much froze the actual main lounge, main entranceway for the palace, and birds got in there. What else? Uh, oh yeah, the 139-year-old doctor, she actually throws knives instead of basically carrying a big sword or whatever that she did in the original story. Let's see. Luffy goes to second and third gear in the story, something he does not do in the original one. Let's see. He actually fights Mushroom, which is nice, the fact he does that. As a matter of fact, he's actually one of like two of the people who actually fight Mushroom. Yeah, that's seriously the guy's name, Mushroom. And his nuclear power is that he can create poison spores in his body. Okay. The only people I can think of who actually fought him, besides Luffy, I know Usopp got a chance to fight him, and Frankie burned his poison stuff, which is nice. Um, they do show Frankie and Zoro basically slicing a bunch of pirate ships, which I thought that was really cool. Um, let's see. Now this one was only released in 2008, so roughly about 9 years ago. So yeah, almost 10 years ago. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, Zoro wears a completely different attire than he does in the original story. Luffy does not put on Nami's coat this entire story. He actually keeps on his own coat, his red coat that he wears the entire. Not Nami wears pretty much the same coat he wore in the original story. Yeah. Now, of all the characters who do appear in here, who appear in the original story, from what I can tell, only Zoro's the only one who actually wears different outfits. Everybody else wears the same exact outfit. Even Nami does, surprisingly. Some of the other stuff is pretty neat. Also, the two guys who Wappo chops up, he sort of eats up with his chop fruit. Yeah. Also, Wappo does not do anything to Nami like he does in the original story. No key, stuff like that. Yeah, it's like a lot of stuff that was really good, interesting in the original story, like him showing off his chop factory, where he sort of eats up himself, basically becomes thin. Yeah, that doesn't happen here. Nope. It's like the more interesting stuff that happened there was basically cut out, but still good stuff here. From what I can tell, aside from the addition of Mushroom, there's no other original character in this story that was not in the original one. Oh, and also they don't show the Doctor going her rounds in the villages. They don't. They do not show that at all in here. Uh, as for Luffy and Sanji finding out if goes those were-rabbits, yeah, from what I can tell, it's no change. It's the same exact stuff they did in the original story. So not much there. Luffy, aside from basically going to Gear 2 and Gear 3, aside from that, he acts pretty much the same as the original story. It's like nothing really much changed. A lot of the characters he created in the original story pretty much act the same way and do pretty much the same thing as do in the original story, with some slight changes here and there. It's like Zoro's the only thing actually has something kind of different. Oh, one thing Zoro does not do, he does not beat up one of the soldiers and steal the guy's coat. Here he actually has his own coat and he keeps it on the entire time. Also, Frankie wears a sleeveless coat and still wears his Speedo. And I'm like, seriously? Is this guy even cold at all? Maybe because he's a cyborg? That could be a reason why, but who knows. Half the time I kept expecting him to touch his nose and basically have his hair changed because I'm so used to him doing that now. I know he started doing that with Return of Sabaody, and of course him having big bowl. I'm more used to now because I'm into the part 2 of basically the anime and manga. I'm used to everybody's part 2 looks. That it's kind of interesting though to see them in the part 1 looks. But yeah, interesting film. Great film nonetheless. And unlike when I watched the original story, That one I watched dubbed. This one I actually watched subbed, which makes it the second sort of retelling of a story from the series where I actually watched it subbed instead of watching it dubbed. Now, as far as I know, there is no other films that are dubbed, and yeah, that's actually the last of the films. There is no other films left. So all that's left for One Piece, aside from, well, like watching the next chapter of reading the next chapter of the manga or watch the next episode of the series, the only thing really left to go is um just the Omix and the Chopper Man special. That's really it. I'll probably do that in special number 6, which is probably just one part, not 2 parts like I have in the last few specials. But yeah, so that's it. Stay tuned for special number 6 when I get a chance to do the Omix and the Chopper Man special. Okay. Until then, I will see you there. Bye. Oh, the Chopper film, I give that one also a 9 out of 10. Okay. Bye.